And let's talk about that piece, because the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission invites everyone to participate in the dedication of the Commission's latest completed project, Sunday, October 28th from 2 to 4 p.m. in Almendinger Park. And the work will be unveiled at this event, the whole family invited. And the project is a neighborhood time capsule mosaic created by local artist Mary Thiefels of Treetown Murals. Describe what this looks like.
Sure. Well, this was a pretty incredible location for me, being such a historic neighborhood for Ann Arbor and its location, and also the stories that people have, generations of stories for their time and place of being there. The site is so unique for me because it was a three-dimensional surface. Here's these 12 columns that stand and hold up this pretty utilitarian structure in the park. A lot of people come, they play on the fields, they play in the park, they use the bathrooms there. So this was an opportunity to really charm this park with, a beautiful installation that not only involves and interacts people and passersby and bikers and people just kind of rolling through the park, but it also invited the neighborhood to tell their story, to have an opportunity to, hey, I grew up here. Hey, my children have lived here, or I'm the sixth generation of living in this neighborhood. Right. Here's a piece of the tile of the bathroom floor from our turn-of-the-century home. Like, how can you incorporate that? We have a piece of the Berlin Wall from someone that grew up in the neighborhood that donated this piece of, of history to the project. There's dog tags and photographs of kids playing in the park. There's memories and poems of, we used to ice skate here, we used to play, I went to Eberwhite School 65 years ago. So it started with an idea that has just totally blossomed into this, what I'm calling a time capsule, right? Things that you would normally bury are now exposed, and I get great thrill out of sort of being there anonymously. Now that a lot of the work has calmed down, I can kind of roll up there to check out things and how things are setting and looking, and watching people like point and touch and read, because I've incorporated descriptions of some of these objects into the mosaics, and walk around the pieces with wonder and surprise and awe, and I'm going, that's what this is all about.
I love the idea of the fact that it's a time capsule you can see forever displayed. Right. I have a problem with time capsules when they're buried, because 100 years from now, I'm not going to be here to see them unveiled. I like it so that generation after generation can go to this and see it. You don't have to be there at the moment the capsule's unveiled. Yeah. It's there forever. I love that concept. Great, And when you mentioned that this is a 3D aspect for you, you're normally working on a flat surface, a mural, right? And
so my typical community involvement is, let's do a paint by number. Let's do a big fundraiser. Let's get 400 people down here to help paint this beautiful design mural, and this was such a challenge. Right. Like, not only was the location different, but we're focusing on three-dimensional, low-relief mosaics. How do we get people involved? Question mark.
This is at the 8-acre Almendinger Park located on Pauline between Hutchins and Edgewood here in Ann Arbor. Now I can hear every neighborhood saying, we want one of these. So John, why was Almendinger Park selected for this?
Well, that's a good question. This is just the start of a mural program. So we want every neighborhood to have exactly one of these.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. And we want to, we have a number of other projects in the works, as well as large pieces. Damian alluded to Argo Cascades. Stadium Bridges is coming up. We're going to spend about $350,000 on Stadium Bridges. It's going to be a major project.
That's the artwork on the bridges.
That's the artwork on the bridges. And that
we talked before the show about the manhole covers and things like this that have become such a utilitarian part of our lives.
Tell the story about Japan and the manhole covers, because that's where people are thinking about doing that here in Ann Arbor.
That's right. That's right. And in Japan, it was brought to us by Matt Nod, who works for the city, and he said, hey, why can't we do something here for art? And in Japan, they have access covers, to be politically correct, and it does. It covers all kinds of
Oh, are you
things.
kidding me, John?
That they're a necessary utility for any city.
Right.
But when you create artwork and put them on them, that it changes the whole dynamic. People have walking tours in Japan. They have bicycle tours just to see these. These are beloved objects, art objects. People actually do rubbings of them, much like we would do a brass rubbing
Isn't that wild?
in England. And what we want to do is we want to incorporate students. So in the Ann Arbor Public Schools is to have them design manhole covers. We have thousands over the city.
Isn't that amazing?
And then have some kind of a contest. And so we will have every manhole cover could very well be a unique work of art.
Wild.
And we want to do that for
How is the funding happening when you're talking about doing a project in every park, et cetera, when the funding now is tied to capital improvements? How were you able to do this, for instance, with Almendinger Park?
The Ann Arbor Community Foundation gave generously
okay.
as a grant.
Okay.
Which
Fantastic.
paid for the project.
Okay, so your purview is much greater than just where your funding is coming from. Now on the Art Commission, John, it could bring in different
This
kinds
can
of projects.
leverage money, exactly,
Yeah,
and that's what
okay.
we really hope to do.
Okay.
And we also hope to stimulate private businesses. Like there's a Charles McGee piece, right, on Liberty
Mm-hmm.
that a private business owner bought and put up. And that's a piece of public art.
Right.
And it's because we all have an interest in showing our hometown to the world as a creative place.
John Kotarski, he's with the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission. Artist Mary Thiefels with us, and Damian Farrell, Damian on design. We talk about the impact of design every Saturday on
Right,
our show
yeah.
here, on Damian's show, to talk about its impact on our lives and how important it
Yeah, it is
is.
important. Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just think, in any city that is known for its culture, I mean, Ann Arbor's been on the top places to live for how long, and we're so proud of that. This is one of the pieces, I think, that is so critical, along with many others, in creating the cultural part of a city, which I think is so important to attract people. And it's working, We get the big companies like Barracuda making this massive commitment. And it's, there's so much evidence around the world of communities and cities that do this, that have prospered, and that continue to prosper. So it's, I realize that there's always this debate about the money. Some people, we're taking money away from other things. I look at it as investment. And I understand that, knocks are taken and so on, but I think if we look at it in the big picture of how a city survives and goes on to be a very desirable place to live, this is one of those critical pieces, is design, art, stimulating thinking, changing people's feelings and attitude as they walk down the sidewalk, their interaction with the sidewalk. I mean, it's one of the issues that architects face. I mean, as part of the zoning thing was, how do we make our sidewalks more people attractive?
That's a good point,
So
yeah.
this is another layer. We take your average piece of sidewalk and it's got a pleasant building and an overhang and people sitting on the sidewalk cafe. There's an attraction to that which has been centuries old. Now we start to take the arts, we put it on the floor, we put it on, I don't know, maybe those concrete planters along Main Street become a canvas at some point. I don't know. I mean, but you start to introduce this next layer of pleasure, enjoyment,
Brings in a whole new
delight.
element,
a whole new element
of design
whole new
into
element,
that.
yeah.
Mary,
Yes.
I thought it was brilliant that you incorporated the community into this, the
Yeah.
neighborhood into this whole project. How did that come about?
Well, again, this is a really important theme in my work, and when Almendinger was chosen, it wasn't about the whole city of Ann Arbor. It was really about this sort of more insular place. And we had a very active neighborhood resident, Meg Crowley, who's just really helped and volunteered her front porch as the spot for these items to be donated. So we made it very easy.
How cool is
We
that?
put
Yeah.
over 500 door hangers with a little plastic bag and a description of the project on the Almendinger Park neighborhood residents, which is a very active neighborhood,
Right.
which really helps.
Yeah.
Very with each other, very
Right, yep.
active. And so items just started to kind of roll in, and it sort of has just evolved.
So what did you do after that as an artist to
Sure.
create this? Because when we talk about a hodgepodge of items, I don't want people to think this is some kind of scrapbooky type thing. This
Right.
is
No,
a
this-
beautiful design
It's
that you...
it got converted into art pieces.
And
that-
very bright,
Yeah.
and the colors are incredible.
Thank you. One of the elements was for them to write a few sentences about the piece. So give this thing that maybe you would pull out of a junk drawer or have stashed in a book or a photo from somewhere, some meaning, some personal meaning. And so it's the 3-sentence stories, 4-sentence stories, some of them that are incorporated into the mosaics, that will be that we'll be able to take with us, this sort of why they gave these little things meaning. And then we'll have a website, an interactive website, where people can post unveiling, kind of read about all of the items.
That brings in all sorts of different layers to art, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Of what you have done here.
There is another component. There are 62 hand-painted self-portraits from now freshmen, but last year's 8th grade class at Slauson. So there was also a desire to get into the schools and pinpoint a group of students that wanted to be a part of it. This is Jason Trees' class from Slauson Middle School, and he was teaching an art in the environment class, so it was just kind of perfect that these students would be able to be the art in that environment as themselves.
All right, so how will this be preserved on these columns at Allmendinger Park? What process did you use?
A very common mosaic process with grouting, and then all of these artifacts have been resin epoxied onto glass and then incorporated into the mosaics as a tile. The portraits are done on aluminum tiles that I hand cut, primed, and bent so that they would fit onto the pillar. There are hundreds of hours prior to just being on site to get this going.
Well, I see. Can you imagine if you're one of these freshmen, and you come back someday with your family.
Sure.
I'm assuming you come back to watch a Michigan game, right? And it wouldn't be wonderful at those times to know about some of that stuff 20 years from now and be able to capture that. And so these park art pieces become generational. Mm-hmm. And so we're starting here with the infancy, literally, right? And wouldn't that be great to capture
beautiful
these moments later on in years? And I do, at the risk of a really bad pun, I think that Mary is probably one of the few people in the world who does enjoy running into a brick wall. Sorry, very bad pun, but I couldn't resist it. But what got you to brick walls, to large surfaces like this? What?
Sure.
I'm assuming, like any artist, your work has evolved, right? From day one, there's been this.
I was given the opportunity to do murals underneath the Ann Arbor underpasses as a teenager.
Wow.
And
Opportunity?
well, this opportunity we took unto our own.
Oh, okay. All right. This is the little underground art movement.
It's kind of neat. And we went from being arrested to...
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
You have a record? We got to look this up.
To finding out that this was private property. This was private railroad property. And they said, go for it. We love what you're doing. The neighborhood loves what you're doing. We're giving you waivers and permission. So that in 1998, there was a group of us that went and did murals underneath all the underpasses with donated paint, our time, just having fun with it, right? Here's my first huge canvas. And it was that summer that we received our first Golden Paintbrush Award for Public Art Excellence. And some of these artists that I was working with didn't want the award. They're like, that's not what this is about. This is about my neighborhood, beautifying my space. Sure. But for me, it was taking this the next step. Okay, I want to do more of this. This is actually getting such a rise out of everybody that, honking, just like driving down the street, that I have to do more of this. Yeah. And so it was the North Main Underpass that was commissioned by Peter Allen. Yeah,
right where his office is.
It's just evolved. And so will the rest of my art career.
Mary Thiefels and her company, TreetownMurals.com, going from that scofflaw to owning her own company and doing incredible work for our community and Southeast Michigan.
Yeah.
And coming up this weekend, the Allmendinger Park mural will be unveiled, and everyone invited to Sunday, October 28th, 2 to 4 p.m. to Allmendinger Park. Big family event. It's going to be a lot of fun and a good way for people to talk about art, about design, about its importance in our community. And this is the first of a series of murals to be commissioned by the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission. Salute to you, Mary.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lucianne, Damian.
Excellent. Really appreciate it. John Kotarski, who's on the commission, and Damian Farrell, local architect who champions art in our community and the importance of design. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're listening to Damian on Design each Saturday on the Lucianne Land Show on Ann Arbor's Talk Station, 1290 WLBY.